Joy from Harbor City, California, listening on the 25-year-old KKLA. Hello, Joy. How are
Hi.
you? Hi.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing great. Thank you.
Great. All right, so here's my question. It's not a question. I just want some insight into what may be going on in me, my mother, and her soon-to-be husband.
Okay.
My mother was widowed in 2000 after 24 years of marriage, and she began a relationship this year to a man, a coworker that's 12 years her senior, who was widowed in January of this year after 47 years of marriage.
Okay.
So it seems like the relationship may have begun shortly after the wife passed on.
Yeah. Which is not, how old is the man?
70.
Not uncommon in a 70-year-old man to seek a companion very, very early on after the wife has passed. Not because he didn't love the wife or they didn't have a great relationship, but because men need someone, and they
don't like to be alone.
They don't want to be alone, and they, you know, a woman, her husband dies, she stays a widow for 30 years. A man,
right? It's been 10 years.
It's really so I'm just saying it's not an unusual situation to see your mother be 10 years out there, and a man is already interested in her after a death 7 months ago.
Right.
He must be
the
something.
wedding is scheduled for this upcoming February.
Okay, so at least
everything
he's
is really, really, really quick.
Well, yeah, at least he's waiting more than a year.
Well, yeah, I guess a few days after the year begins.
Yeah, and when you're
be a year.
when you're 70, you kind of have this feeling, hey, we don't have that much time. If we're right for each other, let's move this forward. They're actually kind of being a little more, I'd say, cautious and careful than a lot of couples I have seen. My grandmother married Mr. Mounds right after my grandfather died, and of course that was a disaster. But anyway, what's the question for us?
This is encouraging
for
Joy.
The biggest concern is the secrecy I feel that has taken place. Like, she didn't mention him at all. She's never said anything as far as their relationship or that he even existed. What happened was is she would just do a lot of kind of name dropping on the phone, and just in about, like, this past May, I said, hey, who is this person? And that's when she revealed it, so I felt like, wow.
She may have been thinking that you're never going to approve of this guy.
Yeah.
Or the timing.
Right, the timing. And I asked her, I was very, open about, the way I was feeling, because I have 5 other siblings, and nobody's thrilled about it, and everybody has concerns. Not that the gentleman is not a great person.
If it was my mother, I would be concerned too. I would be concerned if it was my mom also. We all would, yeah.
And yet it's been 10 years since she's met a man that has gotten her heart rate up enough for her to want to move forward, right?
Right.
There must be something kind of, special about this guy.
So is secrecy the only thing that's bothering you here, Joy?
Secrecy has bothered me. The secrecy
what else?
Is there.
What else?
It's getting all of us, is that we didn't know, and his children did know.
Okay, but you know what? His wife died in January, and so you begin to find out in May. Now, when do people tell people things? My kids may tell me, oh, by the way, we planned a vacation, and I don't hear about it for a couple of months or something. When do people tell people things? Why does this particular area really bug you the most?
Because I know her. I know how she is, and when things are important, we know. I mean, this is the person that I lived with for 28 years.
So why is this?
All of a sudden, this is a different person. It's almost like I don't know who she is.
Let me ask my own question. Let me ask, are you thinking that maybe other people have not told her some things, and that's been a...
Well, I'm asking, why is secrecy an issue to you? And in the past, has secrecy been something... people hiding things from you, people not revealing information, you finding out later, not being included in the first wave of people knowing things? Has that ever happened to you?
No, just never with my mother. Never with my mother.
How about with anybody else?
When my father died, there was something that came out, and None of my siblings and I knew.
What was that?
That was a big.
What was
that? That was a big hit. But that's not my mother. My mother is
what
very
didn't
spiritual.
you?
She is.
What weren't you told? What weren't you
I'm
told?
sorry?
What weren't you told about your dad?
That he had a child outside of their marriage.
Oh, so no wonder you don't like secrecy.
No, I've always hated it.
Okay.
It makes me feel uneasy.
All right. Well, good.
Makes me feel uneasy.
Okay.
So have you, when you were really being open with your feelings to your mother, were you able to say, Mother, you know I'm sensitive about this stuff. I really hate it when there's any kind of secrecy.
Yes, I said I hate it. That's exactly the word that I use. I hate it. It makes me feel very uncomfortable.
But the very fact
that
like
I cannot trust you.
Okay, but the very fact that was May, and you know now is now. This is quite a few months. So we asked the question, why is it still bothering you? And
because there's been no attempt for me.
But apparently your mother
him
does.
Or the other children on the other side. You know, so that it doesn't seem like we can really be a godly family.
Okay. So now we have another thing going on. It's that they're not pulling all of you together well enough or good enough, or they're not doing things right. Can your mom do anything right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, but now there's at least two things that you don't like how she's done things.
Yeah.
Okay. So, does your husband complain of that with you, that he doesn't feel
I'm
he can?
I'm not married.
Okay.
I'm unmarried.
Oh, I see.
I've never been married.
Okay. And would people's complaint of you be that I can't ever do anything right around Joy, or I hurt her feelings all the time, or is Joy sensitive?
I'm not super sensitive. No way.
Okay.
But maybe there's a part of this, Joy, that you feel like you might be losing your mother.
Oh yeah, and I told her that too.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
that's what I did express. That's real. I mean,
yeah.
and it.
Yeah.
It's frightening, but I prayed for this moment for her.
Okay. I get it. So
do you guys live together?
You know, I see marriages falling apart all the time. So
do you live with your mom?
No, here's another one.
Do you live with your mom?
No, I don't.
Okay,
no.
So go ahead.
How old are you, Joy?
I am 38.
Okay.
How about this scripture? Colossians 3:2. Don't worry about anything. It just seems like you're really worried about something that with just a little twist of gray matter you could get really excited about with your mom. Can you imagine the joy in her heart after 10 years finding a man that wants her? With so many.
But what if he gets sick and she's a caregiver?
Well, that's that.
You know,
I think your mom is. I think your mom is a big enough girl to know that reality and accept it. And what if she doesn't marry him and she gets sick and now she doesn't have a caregiver?
Then I'm there.
Yeah. You're right.
Okay, so that's a real issue right here. Is you?
That's extremely real because my father died of cancer.
Okay, but
and I watched my mom be run down.
Yeah, but I really think
so. Joy's a compulsive caretaker.
Yeah,
I am.
Okay, so all of a sudden, what do I do without a mom to help take care of? There's somebody else is taking my space. So it may be that you have a loss going here, Joy. Of what's my role? My role's changing.
Or Joy, it might invite you into the opportunity to start looking at yourself and what you want to do with the next 40 years of your life. Are you going to be in relationship, or are you going to look for somebody else to take care of so that you don't have to be in one?
I have a child that I have, not a biological, but in the family that I have. I am the legal guardian for, and I've been for 5 years now.
Uh-huh.
So I have enough responsibility. I'm not looking for more, but I do know that I am a caregiver, and I do know that I have a concern.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I don't know if we've convinced you here, but there's another way to look at this.
I mean, help me.
Now, Joy, tell me about this man. Tell me everything positive that you know about this man.
He is a Christian. He's a believer. That's
Good.
Number one.
Great.
And he is a professor.
Oh, I like that.
At a university.
So he's got a solid job. Does he have tenure? If he doesn't have tenure, just tell her to forget it.
Yeah.
No,
I think he's
kidding.
just part-time at this point.
Oh,
He's
okay.
retired, and he's a retired military person. And,
okay. So
they work at the same place. So he has stability.
Yeah, responsible man.
But responsible.
And she's been able to see him at work as well as offline, too. Yeah. So they've, what seems like quick for you, they're clocking, some hours during the week on the job. So.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I tell you, I just hope and pray that you will get on your knees and say, God, help me enjoy this experience with my mother.
Well, thank you for that, because I've been trying, but my mind, I can't stop thinking about it.
God's going to take care of her.
But that's the problem of compulsive caregivers. They're fear-based and they worry a lot, and then they catastrophize because you ask us two catastrophe questions. What will happen if something happens and she has to be his caregiver? So one of the things that tells me is you have a lot of anxiety inside and you have a lot of fear.
Yeah.
And so when you have a lot of anxiety and fear, I think what Sherry said was, what are you going to do to work on you? And that would be one of the most important things you could work on for you, is working on your internal levels of anxiety and fear, because they animate and propel you, Joy.
Joy, I got one more thing to say to you.
Okay.
You've been wrong about a lot of things.
Yes, sir.
because you've made it. We're talking to you. All those things that could have happened in your life that you worried about along the way because you are kind of anxiety prone and full of worry, they didn't happen. And here we are talking. Congratulations. You made it to today. And all those horrible things didn't happen. And I think some really great things are going to happen, and with your mom and this man. And there'll be some tough things too. But you need to grieve the loss of mom and free her up to be the woman she wants to be at this age, this time of life with this man.
Okay.
That's what I think.
And maybe, Joy, there might even be a part of you watching your mom, how she's moved into this relationship and has let go of some of her fear in order to do it.
Yeah.
And in this next 40 years of your life, my hope for you would be, because I'm guessing that you've gotten really stuck and almost fearful and worried about relationships.
Well,
you not equal relation. I mean, not caretaking. That you've gotten wired, but like intimate, man to woman type relationships. And I think you've stayed out of that, and that's where I would have you really take a look at. And how to let go of some of your fears so that maybe you can have a relationship like your mom.
Yeah.
She can be jealous.
You can be,
I know.
or you can be so
that.
afraid that they're going to leave you and leave you alone.
Yeah.
That you end up at 38 alone.
I know.
So you didn't have that, but you had this. Let's go over here to Louise from Rancho Santa Margarita in California. Listen to KKLA. Hello, Louise. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi there.
How are you doing?
Great. How are you today? What's going on?
Well, I have a question, and that's how long do I stay separated from my husband before I am scripturally allowed to divorce or annul?
Well, how long have you been married?
I've been married a little over a year and a half.
And why do you want this thing to end?
Because he left a year ago.
He left right after you got married?
Yeah, about 4 months after we got married.
Well, fill us in. What happened?
Well, we knew each other for 3 years. We actually met at CR.
Mm-hmm. Celebrate recovery. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And he's kind of Mr. Recovery. He's been in CR at Saddleback since when it was Overcomers Anonymous.
Okay.
Before the brand name. So he's very, very good with intimacy with men. In fact, I would say he's great at being able to have that in those groups. But he just didn't understand at all what it was going to be to be married. And although we dated for a full year, and he knew about my life, and I have 4 children, I just don't think he was prepared for how intense it is to be married and have 4 kids.
Is that what he says? Is the reason that
well, that's the problem. Is he doesn't talk. I haven't been able to reach him or speak with him.
Okay.
There's been no word from him for a year.
Well, let us take
an RV.
Okay, let me take. Did you say you're living in an RV?
No, he did. He went. Actually, I think he and his best man are living together in the RV now.
We'll give you some help right after this. You're listening